Welcome to day 6 of Natural Hair Fest 2021. I'm Salome, founder and president at Sugar Wax. And if you've ever felt bored with your hair or wondered how celebrities and influencers change up their hair so dramatically, so often, this segment is for you. Wigs and hair extensions have been a part of hair culture for centuries. From the royal courts of Europe to a day in the life of Kylie Jenner, how we wear our hair or someone else's has always been a form of self-expression and even social status. But the ugly secrets of the human hair trade have been more and more exposed in recent years. I'm honored to be chatting with Freddie Harrel of Rad Swan, which is an ethical, sustainable, and gorgeous alternative to natural human hair. You may be more familiar with Big Hair No Care, which gained a cult following on the streets of London and has now shapeshifted into Rad Swan. In this conversation, Freddie and I are talking about Black hair culture and the undercurrent of sisterhood that's born of navigating the hair woes, first as girls and eventually as women. This conversation explores how our emotions are so closely tied to our hair. Stay tuned for a fresh perspective. Welcome back to Natural Beauty Summit's Natural Hair Fest 2021. I am so excited to introduce you guys to Freddie Harrel, who is the founder of Rad Swan. And Rad Swan, which we're going to get into what it is also an evolution of her first business, which was a side hustle known as Big Hair Don't Care or No Care. Big Hair No Care.
No care, yeah.
Big Hair No Care. And when Freddie launched Big Hair No Care, she realized that when she wasn't just dealing with people looking for hair wigs anymore, it was a whole revolution, a new way of thinking about the hair. So I'm really excited to have her. Thanks for joining us, Freddie.
Thank you so much for having me, Salome. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
And you're joining us all the way from Europe. So
yes, I'm in London. Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you here. So I want to get right into it. Actually, let's start with, can you tell us a little bit about Rad Swan? Just the birth story.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So the birth story, it's quite long. No, I'm joking. No, like really, as you said, we started as Big Hair No Care, which was kind of like a side hustle brand I had launched on Instagram. I had created this, like these hair extensions, like just for me initially, because I couldn't find anything like that on the market. And I happened to be blogging as well. And people were really intrigued by my hair, which, I was a fashion blogger. So, I didn't realize that actually this quick solution that I had created and just like this easy product, people were really into it. So that became the side hustle, Big Hair No Care. And after, we did pop-ups in London, Paris, New York, and really like realizing that it was just more than a hair brand. And also then it also got bigger, so we couldn't keep up. So in 2019, I changed it to Rad Swan, with the help of my audience. We just grew the collection and the innovation, most of all, really bringing innovation to the synthetic hair extension market. Went out to raise money because we needed backup to really fuel this revolution. And here we are, well, 2 years later, how to launch.
And you have a launch coming up on the 21st, which we can talk about a little bit. But it's a revolution because the way you're making wigs is different. Can you just talk about what that is?
So like really, so like the differences are really, I think, you know, when you look at the black hair extension market, it's really built around the assumption that we all have, you know, all black women have skills or know how to do hair, or that, you know, it's all a hobby for us. So, you know, we spend, you know, like a lot of time. But actually what we are missing is just quick, really novice friendly alternative products. And at the same time, what was also missing is also the sustainability part of things, because human hair is a very, you know, unregulated trade, you know, responsible for a lot of human exploitation and abuse. But then the synthetic hair market is, you know, very known to be of low quality and just big volume. So we are the revolution in the sense that we bring synthetic hair extensions that really mimic Afro hair. And that, you know, like we've created this premium category as well within the market. And we are going to launch our recycling program, so, you know, they don't end up in landfills. But most of all, you know, we've created as well this innovative accessory called the Rad Grip. That means that you don't have to wear any glue, any gel. You just like switch style, like, you know, in 5 minutes. So that's for like the modern woman who doesn't have the time or the skills or even, you know, the money or the patience to invest into like regular salon visits and all of the maintenance, everything. So
yeah. That sounds awesome. I've heard you talk about how Black hair is culture, and I would love for you to explain that and maybe even touch on how that has or hasn't changed over the years.
Yeah, so, you know, like the funny, so I don't think that there's such a thing as Black culture, like especially not, you know, like globally. And I think that often we talk about Black culture, but I think what really people talk about is like Black American culture, which is, you know, actually like different in Black European culture or Black African or like everything. But something that we definitely all have in common is you know, the nature of our hair. And the nature, like our hair by its design really means that from a very young age, you know, like you're used to always have it braided or twisted, but you know, like we grow up with constant hair changes. You know, it's like every month or every few weeks, and you actually don't have the choice. You know, like I think we all have those memories of being a child and not wanting to get our hair done, but you don't have the choice. It's happening. So I feel like if you think about it, it's like it's such an expression of our fluidity and a mean of self-expression. So we've all grown up with this, you know, innate ability and habits to constantly reintroduce, you know, the various angles we are made of, or just like different facets of ourselves. So it's in that sense that I say that Black hair is culture, not, you know, this Black culture, but it's more, I think, at the individual level. It's, you know, it's the first tool of self-expression and self-exploration that we have. And that is also through our hair, you know, this is how we always meet each other, you know, like because of our hair, it means that you can never be too isolated or even be shunned as a Black woman, because you will always need, you know, like to be touched, you know, like to be cared for with your hair. So I feel like there's also this like it fosters connection, and it's like as if, you know, history knew we would be scattered all over the world, all over the place, and like our hair was designed almost as this blueprint to make sure that we would always find each other. Like there's so much that I see in our hair and in our design. But yeah, it's kind of that.
I love that. That's so beautiful. You know, me being of like Iranian heritage, a lot of us Middle Eastern girls have a different kind of hair problem. It's hair removal problems. And I totally see what you're saying, how it sort of forces this community because, you know, there's always someone else that has figured something out and you connect with each other to sort of sort through this, but it's this forced connection. And I love how you see that so positively. I want to talk a little bit about your mission, because your mission is also very, very inclusive. And I want to talk about the role of the wig, because, you know, when we think about wigs, the wig has different meaning in different cultures. And even over the centuries, wigs have changed in meaning and expression so much. So I'd love to hear from you. How do you see the role of the wig today, and where do you see it going?
So, you know, I actually don't, so although obviously like we're starting with wigs, you know, Big Hand Care started by just being clip-ins. So really like what it's about, it's more like artificial hair as a tool of, so I can speak for hair, but like for wigs, I think wigs are just like one product. Then you have like other ways, but really the like for me, what's really important, the mission is that, like I was saying to you before, it's something that we've all done, like growing up. It's part of us to constantly have these changes. So when sometimes we, you know, hear this argument that, oh, you know, like you have to be natural, like you have to just like not wear anything artificial, because otherwise it means that you don't love yourself, or it means that you haven't accepted yourself. And obviously this mixed with the natural hair journey, when, you know, we go back, for those of us who used to relax our hair to our natural texture, and we discovered that usually it's like a holistic journey. I feel like a Black woman on a natural hair journey is a Black woman who is really on this journey of self-exploration, but, you know, from mental health to like beauty, self-care, you know, across all of those areas in her life. And so this argument that, oh, this is rooted in self-hate, etc. I just think that it's a very damaging argument that we hear a lot. And so the mission is really to just say, like, being natural, like it doesn't matter about the label. It's really, this is how we are, like, this fluidity is part of our makings. Like, this is why, like, we refer to ourselves as shapeshifters, and that we, you know, like create rad shapes. But you know, if you look at the shopping experience that we have to go through to buy usually like hair products, it's very, you know, it's a very poor experience. You know, like these are experiences that we kind of dread, you know, having to the beauty hair shop. And you know, like when you hear the abuse and all of those things about the hair market, I can understand how this doesn't help puts the fact of wearing artificial hair in a good light. So what we are doing is not just innovating and bringing a product that looks realistic, that is really, like, you know, mimicking your hair and very quick and easy to use, so you keep the focus on looking after your own hair. It's never about the other hair. But we've also, you know, called them rad shapes to kind of like, so, you know, unload, so not use the loaded word wig, because if we bring these innovative rad shapes and we have this really upgraded and dignified shopping experience, you know, the question is like, can we revisit this, you know, like this question, like this conversation around, isn't it just how we've always expressed ourselves, shifting appearances, and that actually wearing wigs, you know, like doesn't have to mean anything, you know, it doesn't have to mean that you're trying to be someone else, etc. So really, I think the mission is really to just like give freedom, you know, to like the Black woman who's just like wondering, who just like wants to just like play with her appearance because it's so natural to her, but who at the same time feels like, no, what does it say about me? So
I'm really glad that you bring it up, because, you know, when I think about it, I know what you mean. We're sort of indoctrinated with all these ideas of like having to be our most authentic or most natural version of ourselves. Like, I have curly hair. Sometimes I wear curly and sometimes I don't. And I think if you think about it in terms of like fashion or makeup, it's the same thing. And we're
Yes.
quite complex beings. It's not just like, we're not the same every day. We're different.
Exactly.
And like different times of the day, different times of the month, different times of the year, and having like these creative tools to be able to express ourselves, I think is empowering. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're kind of shifting away from, you know, like if you're not being all natural, then you're not accepting yourself. Because
And what is it, you know, to be not all natural anyway? You know,
what
it
does that
means
even
different
mean?
things
Which
for
version?
different people. Yes, exactly. Yes. Which version of the natural me do you want?
Well, you know, like hair is so close to our identity, how we see ourselves, how we want to see we want the world to see us. And it's how we even like mark some of the changes and milestones in our lives, you know, like you break up with a boyfriend and you go and chop your hair off, or you color your hair like a new thing. It's a thing. And you also talk about like DiasporaCentricity. I'd love for you to elaborate on that a little bit. And then if you have a theory about why hair is so closely tied to our emotions, I would love to hear it.
Of course. So the diaspora approach that we have is like what I was telling you earlier, that actually I don't believe that there's such a thing as Black culture. You know, the Black diaspora is huge, but when it comes to beauty brands, the biggest beauty brands we've seen, you know, being in Europe or everywhere, they're always American brands, because America is such a big market, is, you know, and it's the biggest. You know, after Africa, it's like the biggest diasporic, you know, like place where you have Black people, right? So, like because of that, you know, I'm French, so me as a Black French, but you know, I live in London, so you know, but even here, Black British, like we grow up really, you know, influenced by the Black American culture, and you know, we have so much in common, but you know, but you know, as a result, like we haven't really. You know, like impacted it back, or we haven't. But now, like, you know, with internet and social media, you can see how we're all, you know, like so excited to connect with each other, like Black Europeans, Black Americans, you know, and like Black Africans, like those who are you know, still living in Africa. I mean, you know, we're all Africans. All of that, you can see even like culturally how, like, you know, Afrobeat music is very big in the US and here. So I just wanted to expand on that, like you know, like we, like by the means that we have, the platform that we have, but also the fact, you know, like the fact that we are backed by, you know, amazing American investors as well. It just like gives us this opportunity to just really like make this a big adventure. And by being originally like Black European as well, it's great because we're really excited to bring everyone's stories to the forefront, you know, even in a way, you know, we keep introducing ourselves to each other. For me, that's really important, to just so more Black people can see themselves as well in the content that we put out there.
I love that.
And then, oh, thank you.
Let's
The
talk
hair and emotion. Sorry, no, sorry.
Oh,
Tell me.
sorry. No, yeah. Let's talk about the hair emotion. Yes. What is the connection
Yeah.
there? Because that's universal. That's everybody.
No,
Our hair
it's
is like
everybody.
tied.
Yeah, but I think like from the second like that something becomes a means of self-expression, obviously it's going to be linked to your emotion. And hair definitely is that, the same way that the way we dress is. And that also, you know, even again explains how it's so natural to be versatile with your hair, you know, the way that we are with style. I think it's just like you said earlier, like it's the way that we show up to the world, but it's also like a way to tell our stories or even express ourselves in ways that, you know, we might not be confident enough to just do it in another way. Or it's so much. I just think, you know, hair is is a tool for creativity, for art creation. So it's going to be very unique for everyone, but definitely deeply connected to their emotions.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like hair, maybe the connection to emotion might be greater than how we dress, because like, you know, when you're like standing in a crowd and you're trying to identify someone that you know, it's always from the shape of their head that you identify them. It's rarely with the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm getting a pop-up here, but so I feel like it is such a big form of self-expression, and that might also be why we're kind of apprehensive about changing it so much, because it's also how we identify ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's shift gears and talk a little bit about sustainability, because after all, that's why we're here. And what you guys are doing is really, it started in recognition of some of the practices in the natural hair trade. And you touched on this a little bit. Are you able to elaborate, or like, is there a story you can share about, you know, what sort of exposed you to the realities of the human hair trade, and what you're doing differently with Rad Swan?
No, of course. I find that, so for me, you know, there was a time when I was wearing human hair extensions, because something you have to know is that, you know, in the black hair market, at least, you know, human hair is seen like the luxury product, like the good product. And because synthetic is, you know, is really a market of low margin, big volume. It's not really about the quality. So it's kind of like seen as cheap. And synthetic is, you know, like you buy it in those shops where we have like a very cheap experience as well. So it's kind of like really like two extremes. So human hair is always the preferred, like it's often, you know, the preferred solution. But actually this is really shifting. You know, we have a lot more people, 50% of our audience said that they would only go for synthetic, for example. It was this documentary called Good Hair by Chris Rock. I don't know if you've watched it.
No.
It's like, it's quite old now, but like honestly you should watch it. And you know, he goes and you know, he investigates on the sourcing of hair, and you, like, you know, like you really see the behind the scene of the human hair trade. And even, you know, last year I think there was even more scandals. I think that now that this trend is so huge, and you know, it's like basically women from every ethnicities wearing hair extensions. You see, like we've had a lot of reports of so, you know, of course, abuse, women being attacked for their hair, but also, you know, even like slavery, like last year it came out as well, you know, like there's, so the human hair, and it's like really, it's not regulated, you know, you don't even have standards. So like this market has a lot of opportunities for people to really do bad things. And that's the reason why we didn't want to be involved with that. I think there's also some people who just don't like the idea of wearing human hair. You know, it's just a matter of feeling, the same way that some people don't meat. I don't know. I don't really like the idea of human hair. You know, I think it's a bit, you know, that puts me off a bit. I'm just like, whose hair is it? How many heads? But so what we do is synthetic hair, and so we're doing as well with big hair no care. And synthetic hair actually, you know, means that you don't have to, there's actually like less maintenance required. You know, it's like they're finished styles, whereas with human hair, you have to treat it like human hair. So, you know, even if you were to style it like this, after 2 days, the curls would fall off, you have to do it again. This is like, synthetic is actually a more like ready to rock product if it's done well, which we've done. But obviously synthetic is not good for the environment. So we are launching a recycling program in the summer, fall. So where we were just going to take back the Rad Shape from our customers.
That's
and
awesome.
That's, yeah, so like we really thrive to be like the leading conscious beauty brand. So we're only just starting, but really it's our ambition that with everything that we venture into. We really try to go sustainable.
That's awesome. And, you talked about synthetic hair versus human hair. I mean, human hair, when you think about it, it is kind of awkward because here we are like talking about how hair is your identity. And now we're talking about stripping other humans from their identity so that we could wear them. And that I'd never thought about it until we had this conversation. Now, with synthetic hair, you're actually wearing one of the Rad Shapes that you're launching on the 21st, and it looks so natural. So can you talk a little bit about like some of the innovation and technology that has gone into making Rad Swan hair not feel like plastic and, like you're wearing plastic wigs? What have you guys been doing?
Yeah.
It's cool.
No, so first quickly going back to human hair, it's true that it's linked to our identity, but I think likewise, I also think that everyone decides to do what they want with it. So the fact that some people like donate their hair or give their hair, like if it's willingly, like I have absolutely no issue with it. It's more the exploitation, etc. There's also a lot of, now we see more of like ethical sourcing of human hair, which, I think is fine. When for the innovation, so it's quite difficult with synthetic. I mean, to find, not to do, but to find product that are really going to match natural hair. Synthetic is usually like shiny, flimsy, also like very smelly, but it's also, like our hair has a different kind of luster. And I think like for the longest time, synthetic, which is a market that is completely dominated and owned by the East, that also it's really removed from the customer. It's really, it's so far all of those brands have kind of like built themselves without our input, which is something that we're definitely changing. Like co-creation is at the heart of our strategy. So even when we stopped Big Hand of Care to turn it into Rad Swan, we had this very detailed survey that over 1,500 women took and, shared so many details about their experience and, their struggle with the product education or experience and everything. And it's really with that we have been able to improve on the product and the education that we also give on the product, but also the shopping experience. So in terms of innovation, so yes, the fiber blends that we use just like is better quality and just mimics our hair a lot better. But it's really from the specs and the fit of the wig. Wigs like look very wiggy because they often have too much volume and you can't really part them, or like the hairline has too much hair around, or, when women do all of those tweaks, that you can watch on YouTube. And we've looked into all of those tweaks and hacks and we've included them to the final product. So the density is natural. It doesn't look like you can part anywhere, and just it just keeps its style, and it's already styled. Like you don't need to go to the hairstylist to have it adjusted. So it's all of those little improvements there, and also the accessory that we've created called the Rad Grip that goes underneath. I'll show you quickly. So.
Yes, please do. The Rad Grip. You guys have been part of this, and this is already okay. There it is.
Yeah, so this is like what you wear. So you just wear it like on your head, like just underneath. And what it does is that it just like recreates your scalp, like it recreates like a scalp effect. So on the T-line, so you can part, but also, the hairline is just on this like beautiful, like really thin jersey. Nice. This is from like another brand that is very stellar in the industry. And then the rest is made of velvet, but it's also the thinnest that you will find. And velvet, creates this friction, which means that, you just put this underneath and then you put the Rad Shape and you see like it just doesn't move. So it stays in place and it just takes, so, there's no need for glue, for any, invasive things, and this, it allows your hair to breathe. So you're not going to have this, like what we find sometimes with wigs, or the overuse of glue, the either alopecia or just like losing hair around the edges, etc. So this is really built with your natural hair in mind, and our products as well. It just takes 2 minutes to take it out or put it on. Really, like, it's about your hair should get all of the TLC.
Well, I love that, and I think that's what really like drew me in, because I remember watching some like video, it was like a time lapse. So I watched in like maybe 7 or 8 minutes, what probably took 4 hours of like this young girl, like they were putting her extensions, or they were putting a wig in, and then the meshing, and then the blending, and then the gluing, and then like, and I was like, oh my God, who has that kind of time, Like self-expression is so important.
Oh, the skills. Yeah. All the skills.
So many skills. I'm like, that's a lot of things you have to know and do.
Yes, exactly.
I want to go back to the culture piece a little bit. And, through your experiences with like hair and like doing, like the whole experience of sisterhood, doing hair with your friends or your, family or mother, daughter, what is the one piece of wisdom that you can share that you learned through those experiences? I'm kind of shifting gears here a little bit, because, I think we recognize the need for self-expression, but there's also a real beauty about like the hair experiences, like even just like you showing me how to like put the rad grip in, and how to like blend it and where to take out baby hairs. Like, I love that. So what is one piece of wisdom you've learned?
So I don't know if it's a piece of wisdom, but what I would say, and I can only speak for my experience as a Black woman, like the Black hair experience, is that what I've come to realize is that, I feel like Black sisterhood is really like unique in a way, like it's beautiful, and it's also very hard and broken in places, but I feel like the nature of our hair, by the way our hair is, and the fact that from a very young age you constantly like have it looked after and done, and this is something that we do together. It's like like we're exposed to those to this vulnerability very early on, like with each other, like you're sitting in someone's crotch for hours, whether you don't like this person or not. And I find that growing up like that, it really like forces you to see yourself in the other, and vice versa. And it really like, like gives us the space for vulnerability or intimacy, as an experience, like really thrown into the situations. And I really feel like that's why like Black sisterhood is like very unique in itself, is that, we're kind of, we learn early on that we are in this together, we stick together, even if we don't like each other. So like, there's a lot of like beauty in this. So I don't know if, what piece of wisdom I can share, but all I can, what I can say is that I find that the design of our hair in itself really makes for a good basis to learn wisdom.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with us. And thank you for introducing a beautiful, sustainable, and easy to use tool for self-expression in the world. So with that, Freddie's website, Rad Swan, will be included, as well as social links. And if you guys want to learn more about it, there's tons of information on the website, and it's really well written. So thank you, Freddie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Salome. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. and have an amazing week.
Yes, thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you.